Hello Team FD and welcome back to Winners and Losers Euro 2020 edition with me and Zachary Jellab. It's Monday, so it feels like a traditional Winners and Losers, but of course it's not. We're approaching the end of match week 3 in the Euros, so we thought we'd take this opportunity, Zach, to pick some players that have proved us wrong, whether that's in a positive or a negative fashion. But first, how was your weekend? Positive or negative?
Positive. Yeah, not too bad. Went home, saw some mates and family and that, and tried to give blood but couldn't give it. So that was a negative, just like my blood. Oh, negative.
Hey! Great.
Rare blood, that. So
Lovely, jubbly. Well, it's not a rare occurrence that we plug Manscaped at the start of Winners and Losers because, of course, they are sponsoring us throughout the Euros on this show. Shout out, loyal gang. And yeah, tell you what, Zach, I could have used one of their fragrant ball wipes in that match against Scotland. And that's as good as it gets this week. If you want to take advantage of our 20% off code with free international shipping, then use the code displayed on screen right now or visit the link in the description for further details. Anyway, I stuck a tweet out on Sunday night just asking the Team FD at large who had surprised them in a positive or negative fashion, like I said at the start of the show. And we got over 100 responses. Wow. So what me and Zach have done is we've picked out 2 of the best and the worst each, so 4 answers in total, very much following our usual winners and losers format. Then we've also got a bit of a shortlist at the end because I didn't want to miss off some of the more popular answers, let's say. So let's start with our 2 winners each, Zach, and yours is someone who you've been purring about throughout the tournament so far.
Yeah, he's been such a fun watch, man. Manuel Locatelli. Coming into this tournament, especially the first game against Turkey, I kind of think it was expected he would be the guy on the bench. And obviously the midfield 3 would be Jorginho, Verratti and Barella. And then obviously after an injury to Verratti, the Sassuolo playmaker was given the starting berth and he has not disappointed. I can't talk enough about that.
So that's been the surprise, right? The fact he's not been the understudy, and the fact he's done such a good job.
And he's performed too. He's arguably at times been the best midfielder. Like the assist, well, not say the assist, the pass for that goes out to the right wing that leads to his goal in the second game. I can't remember exactly who it was against now. Was it Wales? No, not Wales. Or whatever. But yeah, he's done everything so well. Italy now are also currently the top goal scorers in the tournament with 7, 2 ahead of the Netherlands, and they look really, really good, man. Italy, I've got them in the sweepstake, in one of the sweepstakes, so I'm quite happy with that. They're also second for shots per 90 on 20, just behind Denmark of all people, who have also been a bit of a dark horse, and second for possession with 58%, though their group isn't necessarily a group of other teams who are dominating the ball anyway, so that's not necessarily the biggest
But it paints
surprise.
a bit of a picture, doesn't it? That they've been pretty dominant and pretty good in all areas. Yeah,
exactly. And Locatelli has played a massive part in their goal scoring and their ability to maintain the ball. He's currently the joint top goal scorer with Ciro Immobile following his brace against Switzerland and averaging around 52 passes per 90 with an 88% success rate, which is not too bad. Only the 7th though in the Italy side that has dominated the ball, which just shows you how dominant they are on that pitch. Now, obviously yesterday when they faced Wales, he was not starting. Verratti was back and Verratti showed how good he was in that game.
My oh my.
And I think that gives good questions to Mancini now who he starts, because both of them have been fantastic, and obviously he may drop maybe Jorginho in one of the games, and Verratti can kind of play that role, and maybe they have Barella and Locatelli both in midfield. Yeah, some good options, and I'll be very, very interested to see who is playing next in their next game.
I like that you've been swept up in the Locatelli fan fest because I'm very much part of that as well. But seeing Verratti come back into that side yesterday in a second-string Italy team and just dominate against a very good Wales side, actually. If England had performed against Italy in the same way that Wales had done against the Azzurri in the first half, I'd have been pretty pleased as an Englishman. They had 10-15 minute spell where they were really positive and good on the ball. But Verratti, I think he created 5 chances against Italy. I think he put up the most defensive actions in that midfield too. It was a reminder that no matter how good Locatelli has been, Verratti is still probably better. And I expect him to slot back into that midfield midfield for the knockout ties. It would be harsh against Locatelli, who's been very, very good. But it's not really a question of his quality, is it? It's more like Verratti is one of the best in the world in his position. Anyway, my first entry is Robin Gosens. How fun was that Germany versus Portugal game?
Game of the tournament. Game of the tournament. It was so good.
And I'll tell you what, the Germans have actually, and they didn't get a lot of credit for their sort of plucky performance against France. I say plucky, I think they're actually the better side on the balance of things. They've actually been playing some very good football this tournament so far. And Robin Gosens has been the key to unlocking that German attack, hasn't he? And that wouldn't have been the party line going into this tournament, which again is the surprise feature of this answer. I mean, his background story alludes to a player he's had a meteoric rise, hasn't he? He's the only player in the squad never to have played in the Bundesliga. I think he failed to secure a move to Dortmund when he was young and then ended up working at a gas station when he was 17 before embarking on his football career in the second division of the Dutch league. Yeah, the Eredivisie. He's just unreal, isn't he? Leading De Mannschaft for goals and assists at a major tournament. UEFA have counted that own goal as his assist. And rightly so, because he was forcing the issue, so I think he deserves it. And it's unsurprising, really, given the numbers he's putting up. So he's putting up the most key passes per 90 in the side on 2, and he's taking the second most shots as well. So a lot of forward thrust to his game. Been great at carrying the ball as well, hasn't he, into the final third. Now, I don't think people in Bergamo will be too surprised, given he put up 17 goal involvements in 30 starts in Serie A. I think he's actually bagged 20 league goals in the last 2 seasons. And I'm failing to think of another fullback that's done that in the top 5 leagues, to be perfectly frank. Maybe Trent's come close, I'm not sure. It has come at the cost of some defensive output, but the Germans have just said, okay, we'll inhibit Kroos and Gundogan a little bit. I mean, Kroos is getting a little bit slower, so I guess it suits him being a little bit more stationary, right, at the base of that midfield. So not much of an issue there. But yeah, that wouldn't work unless the fullbacks were exceptional. And Gosens and Kimmich, oh my goodness, they have been sensational. So yeah, the 26-year-old, the fact he's running that German attack, truly, truly impressive stuff. Now, we're sticking with the defender for your next answer, aren't we? And it's someone who's maybe not as glamorous as Robin Gosens, but he's definitely proved some of the doubters wrong, including a lot of us at Football Daily.
Yeah, for sure. It's none other than Tyrone Mings. I mean, clearly Gareth Southgate is kind of operating a more defensive system here. Bit kind of, if for knockout football it can work, you know, you'd rather not concede any goals than conceding 2 and trying to score 3. And Tyrone Mings has been a big play because of that. Obviously, when Harry Maguire got injured, many kind of questioned whether Tyrone Mings would be able to fulfil this position. And obviously, he's not Harry Maguire. Harry Maguire in this England side is so important. But he's been able to do a very good job in our opening 2 games. And obviously, look, Gareth Southgate has trusted him to do this. He trusted Kieran Trippier to do it at left back, and Tyrone Mings has been very good as well at centre back, partnering John Stones. He's currently completing the most clearances in the side with 3 per 90, and second for aerial duels, and third with most blocks. He's also 4th for passing with a pass accuracy of 88%. Something we were worried about going into this tournament. However, the one thing that I think maybe is hard to actually quantify is his pace of passing. I think that you can see the difference there, whereas when Harry Maguire gets the ball, it's one touch, then a pass. Whereas with Tyrone Mings, it seems to be a couple of touches, thinking a bit more about what he wants to do. And you can kind of tell because also he is second for outfield players for inaccurate long balls. So maybe he should look to try and simplify it, give it to John Stones, maybe give it to Declan Rice a bit quicker, and they can do the passing, because that's the thing. That's what I think really kind of hampered us against Scotland. We were really slow coming out of the back and not kind of getting down the wings quick enough. In fact, though, only Italy have a lower XG against England after 2 rounds of fixtures. So defensively, we are doing a very good job, even though we are relying on Jordan Pickford to pull off a worldie of a save against the Scots. Clearly, though, this has kind of made our attack suffer, with England only registering 8.5 shots per 90 on the opposition's goal, ranking them 21st out of 24 for that metric. So it's about finding balance. It's about finding balance, right? Either you be super defensive and you don't really attack too often, but with this, if you'd have said that in 2018, I would have understood it more with the way the England squad was then. But this England squad is so talented, especially in attack, that we should be doing better in front of goal. We really didn't test Scotland enough. No. But out of negatives has come a silver lining in Tyrone Mings, who really has kind of stepped up to the plate and kind of proved us wrong.
Yeah, he has. He's not been exceptional, but he's been solid and, putting some admirable performances. I'm going to go back to attacking fullbacks because clearly that is my kryptonite. I've gone for Denzel Dumfries. And I know that the Netherlands were handed a fairly easy group, but there wasn't a lot of goodwill surrounding the side coming into this tournament. Frank de Boer had made a number of gaffes. They weren't exactly playing scintillating football in World Cup qualifiers. The progression from under De Boer seemed to be, under Koeman seemed to be slipping under the De Boer administration. However, now, after 2 victories, there's an element of positivity around the camp, isn't there? And I think Frank de Boer has Denzel Dumfries to thank for that. Saved his skin in the first game, didn't he? The PSV fullback, currently the Arenys' top goal scorer on 2, after bagging that dramatic late winner against Ukraine, and he also secured the 3 points against Austria with that second goal in a 2-0 victory, didn't he? Now, a bit like Gerson's, his advanced position has meant that someone else has had to pick up the defending. So I do want to credit his attacking output, but I also want to say, Martin de Roon, well done for picking up the defensive duties in his absence on that right-hand side. I think Martin de Roon's putting up over 3 defensive actions as a result, which, given they're a fairly ball-dominant side, still shows the midfielder has had a lot to do covering his fullback. But the juice has been worth the squeeze, hasn't it? Dumfries is, I think, leads for key passes and is 3rd for shots, which is very, solid output at an international tournament. Impressively, actually, he's been able to improve on his attacking numbers at club level, so equaling the amount of key passes per 90, but having twice as many shots. So even his manager at PSV might be surprised by the amount of goal threat he has supplied in this tournament. I think he only got 2 in the Eredivisie last season, so he's equalised that in 2 international games. He has been dispossessed a lot, though, which is something I've noticed about him. I think he's lost the ball 4.5 times per 90, which is by far the most in the side. Admittedly, he's trying to be positive. He's trying to progress the ball. In that final third, you have to be risk. You have to take greater risks, don't you? But against a bigger side who are more adept launching quick counters. I'm thinking France here. I'm thinking... who else is great at launching counters? I'm sure people will let me know in the comments. That Portugal might be a little bit of a chink in their armour.
He's been linked with Everton, hasn't he? He's been linked with Everton.
He has. And he's been linked with... I remember talking about him on Eurofootball Daily 2-3 years ago. There's seemingly always been a move in the pipeline, but it's never quite materialised. But maybe his showing at this tournament will be enough to secure him a big money move. Not sure about his contractual situation at PSV, but I'm sure they'll want to keep him. But 26, 27 now, so he should be pushing for a big move. What I've done is, to round off this section, because there was a lot of great suggestions, like I said, we had over 100 comments. I've gone for a best of the rest, Zach. Okay. So maybe we can nail through one each, just in quick fire fashion before we move on to the more negative side of this show. Who would you start with?
He's actually not on this list, and this is a bit of a rogue shout, and I don't mean to just throw one in there out of nowhere. But Patrick Schick.
Good job I got up early to do this preparation.
Yeah, sorry, Patrick Schick. He's been fantastic for the Czech Republic, and he's actually someone that I think could cause England quite a few issues when we play them on Tuesday. Someone who kind of over the recent season or two has kind of gone out of the headlines a bit more. He's not been looked at as much.
It's not worked for him at a couple of big clubs.
Yeah, exactly. And going into this tournament, I think people kind of didn't really know what to expect from the Czech Republic side. Obviously, he scored that worldie from the halfway line, and the other one was a penalty. But in Scotland game, he also managed to get another one too. But he's really coming in the Czech Republic side that isn't necessarily creating a lot of chances or a lot of good quality chances. He's really kind of taking the ones that he is getting, and maybe putting a little bit more eyes on him to think, maybe there's a striker there that could be used. But not to throw one late out, but yeah, Patrick Schick.
No, good to see him make good on his potential, because it didn't work for him at Roma. Obviously, he was sold at Leverkusen. He's not been prolific at RB Leipzig. He's made a promising start. But hopefully he uses this tournament to kick on at a domestic level as well. So I've got 3 or 4 names down here. I mean, we can fire through them. Xherdan Shaqiri, first Swiss player to score at 4 consecutive major international tournaments. And he loves a banger, doesn't he?
He does.
His 2 goals against Turkey were both sublime. I mean, the first one on his weaker right foot was unbelievable. And he's now got 12 goal involvements in 17 appearances at the finals of said tournaments. So his output at the very highest level, unquestionable. And I think we're all agreed on the fact he deserves more minutes at club level, whether that's at Liverpool or not. I hope he either is used a bit more frequently next season or gets a move elsewhere, because, sub 500-600 minutes in the Premier League, not right for a player with his undoubted qualities. I've also gone for Stephen O'Donnell. I mean, the Motherwell fullback had a very solid game against England. 2 tackles, 1 interception, 1 block. That's from a defensive point of view. Created 2 chances moving forward, which was a team high. I think the Scotland faithful were just very impressed with his all-round game and his general energy. And then a couple players, I don't know if you've heard of these, Roman Yaremchuk and Kiefer Moore. I flagged Kiefer Moore on a one-on-one, 3 underrated championship players, and I wanted Celtic to buy Yaremchuk a couple months ago. Clearly not going to happen now, because he's stuck an extra 5 or 10 million on his valuation. 3 goal involvements in 2 games, and they're yet to play North Macedonia. So he could be an outside shout if he gets another 1-2 at the group stage for the Golden Boot. If Ukraine sneak through and get a favourable tie. I don't quite know how it works out. But yeah, anyone else? Maybe Spinazzola, because you've been a fan of his throughout the tournament.
Yeah. He really came to. I say I probably watched him more in that Turkey game, but he was causing them issues down that left flank consistently. Obviously, averaging 2 dribbles per 90, which is a squad high, showing you how good he is on the ball. And he's hitting 1 key pass per 90 as well. So his creative output is pretty good. Defensive output isn't too huge, but then you got to remember as well, they're not necessarily playing teams that are causing them a lot of issues defensively. And he's quite quick too, surprisingly quick. The one issue I would maybe say with him, doesn't really have a left foot, which is a bit of an issue when you're playing on the left side of the pitch. However, he has been someone who kind of, going into it, when I looked at the fullbacks for Italy, I was like, not so sure about him. It was either him or Emerson, and Emerson's barely played this season, because before this competition, it was normally Emerson on that left flank, so he's been very good. And Victor Lindelof has been pretty good for Sweden. 6.5 clearances per 90, which is ridiculous. Also blocking 1 shot per game. And he's averaging the most passes in his side with a completion rate of 91%. You mentioned Moore, by the way, then. That is a Burnley player waiting to happen.
Well, that's who I linked him with in the video. Yeah, I mean, he's only got 1 goal in 2 starts, but he's just been a problem for every side that has come up against him, and he's held up the ball in formidable fashion when Wales have needed him to. I mean, just to paint a picture, he's won 5 aerial duels. I think that's per game. Per 90, it's probably even more, because he's made a couple of appearances sub-wise, or 1 appearance sub-wise, hasn't he? Which kind of skews the numbers, which is why we use per 90 more so than per game. I think I've used per game here. But that's more than all of the centre-backs at Wales, in Wales' team. So, yeah, he's just an absolute point man, an old-school point man, isn't he? And yeah, I think Victor Lindelof was a great shout. Let's move on to losers then, Zach. You can kick things off, and some people might find this a little bit controversial, or maybe not actually. Maybe not. I actually think people might be in agreement.
We're going to kick it off with Harry Kane. He's not been the guy that we were expecting, at least compared as well internationally for England. He's normally been fantastic. And it's not that Harry Kane hasn't scored, it's that he just doesn't look like scoring. He's doing so much of the kind of what he does at Spurs, where he drops in deep, and there's times where he's the one collecting the ball, and he's looking towards Mason Mount and Raheem Sterling and Phil Foden that are much further ahead of him. And I feel like someone's got to go to him. It's not Spurs. Like, I understand why you're doing it at Tottenham. It's completely fair enough. But here, because it's also at detriment to the other England players. Like, he's taking the positions of where Mason Mount may be to collect the ball, where Phil Foden may be to come and collect the ball. Mason Mount is actually currently taking the most shots in the England squad on a game-by-game basis with 2. And Harry Kane is putting up a measly 1.5, the same as Raheem Sterling, and not much more than England's fullbacks. And his creativity is also also like if he was, say, picking it up, say, in those positions, and then, you know, creating chances which we were scoring from, then, you know, you can't really complain. However, it's not been so good for him, with 5 players creating more chances for their teammates per 90 than the Spurs man. And look, I'm not trying to put him under the bus and say, you know, he's awful, because he's not. We know the quality of Harry Kane. If you ask me, should Harry Kane be starting for England, I would say yes every single time, because he is one of those players that can literally score from a ridiculous angle from something out of nothing. And I do think he will get better. If I touch wood, fingers crossed anyway. But Kieran Trippier also believes that he is very important to England's squad as well.
With H, he works so hard for the team, and I think, you know, people might not recognise that what he does off the ball, the pressing that he does. Obviously, I believe in Harry and I know he'll score goals, but it's the work that he does for the team. So I think, you know, some people might not recognise what he does, the link-up play, but, you know, Harry's chances will come, and for sure he'll score goals. Harry is fit, he's working hard every single day in training, and it's just about, you know, trying to get the chances to him, but he's our captain, he's our leader. Is a big player for us.
I'm going to fly through this one because they've taken an absolute panning from every quarter throughout the Euros, and rightly so. Rightly so, because they've been hideous. A lot of people suggesting Burak Yilmaz. I think the captain has taken the flak for just how poor his side have been as a collective. Now, coming into this tournament, Turkey had pretty much reversed their fortunes, hadn't they? Under Şenol Güneş, had a decent qualification campaign, had beat France, had beat the Netherlands in World Cup qualification, along with a fairly solid Norway side. And as such, a lot of people took a gamble on them as dark horses, me included. And you know what? No shame in that. It should be a gamble, but you want something from them. You want something in return for your faith, and people have had absolutely nothing. And talking of nothing, Yilmaz has produced nothing, but at the same time, I do feel quite sorry for him. Service has been extremely limited. I mean, he's still putting up 3.3 shots per 90, which I found quite surprising.
Double Kanes.
2.7 of them are actually from inside the box.
That's ridiculous. How's he doing that? How's he do? Like, 'cause there are so many times where he'll be making a run and you see him look back, just going, "Where is everyone?
Yeah.
I've got no one to help me."
I think the introduction of Cengiz Under definitely helped after the first game.
Yeah.
That gave him a little bit of a supply line from out wide. But yeah, the Crescent Moon, as they're known to no one except Wikipedia, scored 1 goal in 3 games ultimately and conceded 8. So they go down as one of the sort of worst teams to appear in the Euros at this stage. But I do think that the likes of Tufan and Karaman, when I watched them, were significantly worse than Yilmaz. And a lot of their players look absolutely gassed, shagged by 60, 70 minutes. And I don't know how many come from the Turkish Superliga, but in my head, I am questioning the conditioning of several of those players. But yeah, who's your second shout?
This one might not sit well with a few fans as well. It's Bruno Fernandes. And obviously, I think you've got to remember, when we're comparing them, we're comparing to Bruno's extraordinary season, or seasons for Manchester United. But if you look on the face of this tournament, he's having an okay one. He's having an okay tournament so far. It's passable. But when you actually kind of scratch beneath the surface and look into it properly, it's been very, very mediocre for a player who we normally think is at times to be the star of the show. Yeah, exactly, by his standards. He's only taking 1.2 shots per game, the 5th best return in his side. That's also less than the sub Renato Sanchez. Half of them, 0.6, are coming from outside of the box, so not particularly high quality chances either. But we do know Bruno does like to kind of take his chances from wherever and anywhere. And he is putting up a reasonable 2 key passes per game, but only one of them is from open play. He obviously takes most of their set pieces. His defensive output, though, is basically non-existent. They've played 2 games so far, and he's done 1 tackle in 2 games, which is ridiculous, and he's yet to make an interception.
That sounds like George down
yeah, it does, or against Soccer AM. But more alarmingly, the team look really, really unbalanced with him on the pitch.
Or they look more balanced, I'd say, when the subs came on. Would you agree? Last 20 minutes, I thought Portugal were actually a bit better than Germany.
Yeah. At the very end, for sure. Especially when Renato Sanchez is on that pitch. I don't know why. I do not understand how he is not starting. And so, yeah, he's not necessarily been awful, but it's just what we're expecting with Bruno Fernandes. Sometimes people might even have had him as a shout for player of the tournament, per se. We're not quite getting that. We're not
Yeah.
quite getting that. But who knows? Maybe once it gets to the knockout stages, if they get through, that is, they should do, even with third best place side or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll come alive then.
I'm going to stick with Portugal for my last shout, but as I was writing this, I actually started to disagree with myself to an extent, so it's more of a contentious one. It's Nelson Semedo, who got destroyed in that Germany game by Goossens in the first, 60 minutes before he came off. But when you actually take a look at his numbers, I think a little bit better than people are giving him credit for. So he's going to go down as my surprise for just how bad he's been, but maybe somewhat unfairly. 5 tackles and interceptions, which is actually a squad high. Ruben Diaz is conceding more fouls than him. And Pepe has been dribbled past with greater regularity. So not out of kilter with the rest of the performances in that back four, right? So yeah, possibly getting somewhat of a hard time.
He was alright against France as well. He was actually pretty good against France.
Although blocks and clearances per 90 have been non-existent at this tournament, so his anticipation on occasion has been found wanting. Like, he does lose his man quite a bit, doesn't he? Which you don't necessarily see in the numbers, or the very basic numbers that we're providing right now. So yeah, he needs to maybe switch on a little bit more, be a bit tighter to his man, and then maybe he doesn't have to make all those recoveries that he's putting in right now. Okay, that is the end of the show. We've gone on for well over 25 minutes, so let's wrap this up, Zach. Just a quick one for you guys at home and gals. If you want to take advantage of our 20% discount at Manscaped, then use the code on screen now. It's Football Daily 20. Visit the link in the description for more details. They are bloody stellar products, and it's getting hot, isn't it? It's bloody hot out there, so you want to be...
You say that.
Yeah, it's rained the last 2
Chucking
days.
it down with rain, but it is meant to get better. It is meant to get better.
Yeah, but still, I'm doing a lot of outdoor swimming at the moment, so I have to be streamlined. Can't embarrass myself on that front. So there we go. Zach, is there anything you'd like to plug other than, Manscaped and my streamlined balls?
I just had a weird image of an FD competition swimming race. God. I wonder who'd win that. Let me know in the comments below. Why not check out Sunday Vibes from yesterday. We spoke, not about the Euros actually, we spoke about transfers and whether players should be leaving their clubs or what they should be doing if they go to a new club. Check it out. We spoke well.
Yes, enjoyed that one. All right, see you later, guys. Like, subscribe, and get in the comments because I'll be in them first hour. Bye-bye.